Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now today's video is refreshing. I love when I get products on my channel in a genre that I've never tested before. I've been doing this for a long time, and when I get a brand new genre of product, it's just really fun. And today, that's exactly what we're talking about with this iSight drive, Robofinity. And this is a dash cam, but just not your typical dash cam. This is the world's first AI thermal imaging dash cam. Yes, thermal imaging. In other words, if you were driving through completely dense fog, heavy rain, literally the dead of night with no lights on, you would be able to see in front of you animals, people, things that have a heat signature, and that is just so cool. So today's video is going to be pretty in-depth. I'm going to unbox this, take a look at it, figure out what this thing can do. Then we'll go through a full mounting in my truck. Then we'll put it to practical field use. We'll bring it all the way around where I come back to the studio, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. And so with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now, before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Robofinity who did provide this for review. Now, at the time of this video, this is in the crowdfunding stage. So if you like what you see here, look in the description box below and you can get all of the relevant links. And at this time, you will pledge a modest amount to reserve one of these units. And even more so, you're going to save a ton of money over what these will eventually cost if you support the crowdfunding campaign. So that is something definitely worth noting. And again, Robofinity iSight drive, AI-powered safety innovations for driving. Now, I've already mentioned, I've never tested anything quite like this, nor have I ever really used a dash cam. So this entire video is refreshing and an experiment for me, and we are going to learn about all of this together. And as we unpack all of this, you can see just carefully protected in all of this foam. They've laser cut the foam and then used all the little pieces to again protect the unit. So we have a number of things here that we are going to need to kind of work through. And I, again, just kind of need to figure out exactly what it is we have going on here. But in essence, we have a screen, we have camera equipment, and this is going to be your thermal imaging camera, power supplies, cables. I believe this is a protective sleeve, so probably for the camera itself. Now, I'm not positive, but we'll figure that out. Some additional mounting hardware, probably a fishing tool, I actually would believe. We'll see. A whole bunch of supplies, 32 gigabyte micro SD, a ton of hardware, a bunch of tools, Velcro, and double-sided adhesive. So there's a lot going on here. But what I don't see is any sort of instructions or manuals. So I need to do myself a little bit of research here to figure out what I'm doing even in the first place. So the camera itself comes with everything you need. It has this interesting little triangular bit, which is what you need to screw this on. Now this is going to go right on the front, in front of my windshield, but on the exterior, and then connected ultimately onto my hood. So the sort of inside edge of the hood. This is going to clamp onto that, has some rubber spacers, little pads there, and that should grip on nice and tight. There's definitely a spot where you can get right through here. So the camera's going to go right on the edge of the hood. Wires will feed over to here, and you can see, yeah, I definitely have a spot where that's going to work out very well, and then sneak inside, come to the power and up onto my dash. So yeah, that's gonna work. I didn't think it would, but that's a nice surprise. So now you can see, got the camera on the outside here. Very simple. I basically tightened this down pretty much as I thought I'd need to. Pop that into place, climbed over the front of the sort of engine bay, got underneath, and tightened the screws from below, and that is good and firm, nice and firm. Shouldn't take much. You could use just a little bit of tape, connect the plug to that sort of snake that is again routed through the pillar, and if all goes well, this should literally pull right through without any issue. And if you needed better tape other than some painter's tape, you could probably go with electrical. That did pull through. I just need to grab it, which here you can see this should come through fairly flat. I'm going to try to get this as flat as I can so it sits nice and flush, and that should do a good job of avoiding getting pinched. It comes with a whole bunch of these Velcro tabs that do have adhesive. You can use these in a number of locations in the engine bay to help with cable management, just so nothing's loose, nothing gets tied up, and you kind of leave it exactly where you need. So I'm going to place these in a couple of strategic locations to get everything buttoned down. Which you can see now, I just cleaned things up really nicely with some rubbing alcohol. Got these in place, and that cable has just the right amount of slack, yet it's nice and tidy at the same time. You can see how dirty everything was. So cleaned it up really well so that the adhesive would stick nicely. A few key locations, and then routed through the pillar to the inside of the truck. So now that this is in the truck, I actually have to make up a cable end for this, which is actually kind of interesting. So here you can see this needs to be bolted onto the outside, and there's tiny, tiny little screws. So you need to be super careful not to lose these. They are extremely small, which now you can see with that in place, pretty straightforward. You basically use the small screws and then get those thumb screws into place. But at this point, it's kind of getting dark outside. I'm going to finish the setup, and I'll bring you back around so you can see the setup details. So I have my power plugged in to the cigarette lighter adapter. You can see power on there. I've basically run the cable up into this compartment here, which is pretty good for me. It's almost like a glove box. Inside here, it all ties to the module, and then the module tying together ultimately a line out into the monitor. And so this for me becomes a very clean install where I have enough room in the cover that just closes down easily. All the wires are fairly contained, not too bad, not a lot in the way of extra. And then you can see the monitor mounted onto that magnet. So all things considered, a very clean install. Let's see what happens here. It's literally pitch black outside. You can see a car is coming right there. Look at that. It said like 32 meters. I mean, it's pretty darn dark right away. That's pretty impressive. I do have to say right away, I'm not that overly impressed at the picture. However, do I need to be if this does what it needs to do? I mean, again, you know, it's pretty darn dark out. I'm going to turn my lights off entirely. There you go. You can see clearly sun's going down, camera mounted on the front. It's rainy. But here, I mean, I can see everything all the way down to the far fence line. I can actually see heat from the transformer up on the pole in the upper right corner. That bright glow is the power transformer on the pole up at the edge of my property. That is wild. So again, I don't necessarily need this to do anything more than display information. So the fact that the picture is kind of grainy doesn't necessarily matter to me. Now as we get going here, you can see I've mounted this on my dash pretty much kind of right in front of me in a way. It's a little bit below my visibility, which is, whoa, what's it seeing? It picked up on the car that's parked over there. That's interesting. All right, so there's a car coming directly at me. Let's see what this thing sees. It's kind of, oh, yep, picked up on it. It was green. Seeing parked cars here. So you can see, it definitely knows there's a car right there. Knows that there's a car right here. Yeah, it's seeing all the cars. It's warning me. Wow. That's cool. It's picking up on all kinds of stuff. It's seeing that car way off in the distance. Way off. I mean, that's hundreds and hundreds of feet away. And it was picking that up a long distance. This thing is incredible. That's ridiculous. I'm going to take a quick spin to the downtown. I got cars in front of me right now. Should be a car coming right at me. Yep, there it is. Another one, second one coming at me. Yep, there it is. We're going to go downtown and see if we can pick up on some people here. Let's see if we can find some people. It's so foggy, but luckily this thing's doing a good job at giving me clarity and visibility. I know my camera's kind of shaky here, but yeah, this lights everything up perfectly. I have to format the card to get the card to run. Let's get that heat turned off now. But yeah, I need to format the card to get the card to run. But cars here clearly are green. Oh, this guy's about to pull out. Why are some red and some are green? It's definitely binging at me. Oh, people. Oh, look at it. They're crossing right in front of me. Look at this. Here we go. Go ahead, people. Yep, you're good. Come on. You're good. You can do it. There's a whole pile of people. Yep. Look at them all. Let's go. Yep, you're safe. You're safe with me. I can see you. You have no idea how insane this is. This thing is awesome, awesome, awesome. So cool. Now, I do have to say this does make a lot of noises at you. I'll probably turn some of that off. I'm not sure what that bright red on the left and right hand side is. I definitely need to read up a little more on this. But my first impression is this thing is phenomenally cool. And it could truly save your life or somebody else's life. So far, I'm extremely impressed. And the other thing I'm going to say is this picks up on objects fairly far off in the distance. Now I have a car, yep, right in front of me. He's coming. Here we go. Should be a second one pretty quick. It picks up on not quite as quick as me because I'm sitting higher than the hood, but it picks up on objects pretty quick and fairly far off into the distance. It knows that there's a car in front of me driving in the same direction. It's going to know that there's a couple of cars on the left up here. Yep, it's picking up on that right away. That's impressive. Huge line of cars here. I don't know quite what that, what does that mean? What's that sort of warning it's telling me? That I'm not too sure. Now, one thing that this does not have, which in my opinion is a little bit of a downfall, it doesn't seem to have brightness adjustment. This needs to be able to be dimmed down quite a bit because if you notice, a lot of the information on the screen is white, which makes this quite bright. And it's in the corner of my eye and it is distracting. If this had the ability to be dimmed down quite a bit, I should still get the ability to have all of the information that I need, yet at the same time, it wouldn't be so blinding. So to me, that's a bit of a deficiency and something that I think needs a tweak, at least for a future iteration, if that's not something that can be changed at this point. Maybe in the future they would have firmware updates and that would potentially take care of that problem. Right now, where this is sort of in the infancy stage, I'm not really too sure. All right, so if things are going the way I think they are, this should be recording on the unit right now. So you should see the car coming. You can see the distance. Oh, I guess it gets red maybe when it gets closer. Yeah, that's a distance warning. You can see they start green when they're further away. You can see once it gets to maybe about 20 or some odd meters, that seems to change. And that's really what starts to tell you that things are getting closer. I'm driving into a shopping plaza on a day that's just dreary and rainy. And I'm sure there's pedestrians out and about. Now there's a guy standing here right in front of me. Oh, you can see his heat signature lit up right in the middle. Yep, look at that. I can definitely see him. Bright orange. Lady coming out the door here. Yep, picking up on her. We're gonna have a couple of people crossing in front of me. Yep, there we go. So now we got pedestrians. You can see their distances. You can see that they're pushing shopping carts. This guy walking in front of me here. It's literally lighting everything up. So if you didn't have the ability to see clearly with your bare eyes, this is absolutely going to do it. Now, one thing that I bet you they'll be able to work into this eventually is the ability to interpret signs. I would think that the reflectivity of the signs, the quality of this camera, and the intelligence that's built into it could potentially lend itself to giving you pre-warning for things like crosswalks, areas where there may be potential for animal crossings, things like that. And I don't know, I guess I'd just be surprised if this technology didn't have the ability to eventually do that, which might be nice. It's not that I want to continue to clutter this up with, a whole bunch of, information that's useless, but if it does have the ability to potentially make a safer situation, I'd say go for it. So, just something worth considering. Just kind of thinking about where this might eventually end up in the future. And something else worth noting, I would like to see a version with maybe dual cameras, so you could include a reverse camera as well, which might be nice, knowing that there's things coming up on you, activity that may be behind you, especially if you're backing up. So again, just thinking outside the box where this could go, I could absolutely see this being integrated into, factory or OEM style, camera systems in vehicles of all kinds. So the fact that this is sort of cutting edge right now and is the first of its kind really does lead me to believe that there's going to be a lot to come for a system like this and the types of information that will be available. But so far, fairly straightforward, incredibly cool, very useful, and I think this is something that has a huge amount of potential as time goes on. Woman here in front of me, walking two dogs. Dogs aren't showing up as animals. Yeah, maybe they are. Hard to say. So again, we got a woman in front of us walking two dogs. On the right hand side here, middle of the screen. There you go. They come out real bright. Very interesting. I got my dogs. Gonna take them out in front of the truck to check the heat signature and see if it picks them up. Now at this point you can see it is in the record mode, and let's see what we get. Come with me. Come on, this way. Come on, girls. So you can see clearly it's very dark, right in the middle of the driveway. This should be picking them up. What are you doing, girls? Look around. Oh, if things are going well, you should be able to see their individual heat signatures as well as mine. But it's hard to say what we're going to find over here. Come on, over this way. Come on. Good girls. Yeah. Now this would simulate something out in the remote area, like dense woods, surrounding a roadway where you're not going to be able to see too well. and you're trying to pick up on animals, maybe deer. I'd even like to see something like turkeys, which are big enough. And, you know, especially the ability to pick up on animals while you're driving around. And even if you were using this, you know, in a number of different applications. So with that, see what we got. So here you can see that's my son Benjamin standing in front. He's standing in front, oh, waving his arms. And oh, you can pretty much make out actually that it's him. It's not perfect, but yeah, you can definitely see that it's him. Hey buddy, turn to the side. Oh, there you go. Nice. Do some jumping jacks. And yeah, I mean, you can see him out there, but definitely a lot brighter on camera. Alright, so what's that thing pointing at?
A car.
Can you see it over there?
No.
Like a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But not a lot?
Oh, wow.
Morning. Can't see out at all, but yeah, camera can still see, that's for sure. So here we are in the daytime, and everything looks pretty much the same as it did at night. You can see all the activity this morning, driving to work, lots of cars. Still very effective. This does, again, look almost exactly the same in terms of the quality of the picture, the colors, the overall behavior. So nothing really to note between the daytime and the nighttime activity. But again, everything pretty much acting as I would expect. It does seem as though it picked up just a little bit of detail in the daytime, probably relying a little less on the infrared, but at the same time, as I mentioned, pretty much everything looking essentially the same. So part of the issue here is, as a dash cam, you cannot make out any license plates. In fact, you can barely make out the make and model of a particular vehicle. So if you're using this to help you in an accident situation, for evidence or proof or anything like that, unfortunately, you're not going to get that. So it would be nice if this had sort of a more standard dash cam operation in the daytime and then would switch to the thermal and infrared at night. But it does leave this definitely a little bit limited. Now, a couple final thoughts worth noting. First off is this starts recording as soon as you turn it on. So when you turn on the unit, it does start recording. That might be a good thing for you if you want to run this as a dash cam all the time and you want it recording in case you have an incident. So that is definitely something worth considering. For me, it was just chewing up memory that as a reviewer, I didn't need it to chew up, and I found that a few times. I literally left it on running after, you know, clips that I had, you know, filmed for this and whatnot. So, I mean, I got a lot of extra kind of footage here. But again, I would say if you're a typical user, leveraging this as a dash cam, you pretty much want it running at all times so that you get an account of what's happening in front of you. And the other thing is, it does not have any sort of timestamp or date stamp, which I think would be almost critical if you did need to use this as evidence for some sort of an incident. So to me, that's another piece that's kind of missing that should absolutely be information provided in this unit. And so, all right, guys, there you have it. A look at the AI thermal imaging dash cam from Robofinity. Now, all in all, what do I think? It's pretty cool. I do struggle just a little bit to understand all of the use cases, but I do think that for the right people, this will absolutely have its place. Now, all in all, It definitely functions well. It picks up on vehicles very well. Picks up on humans for the most part very well. One place where I think this is absolutely lacking, and it would be amazing, is its ability to pick up on wildlife. For me, I live in an area that's just chock full of deer, turkeys, things that would be crossing the road and really actually probably be, for me, the most realistic hazard. But to not have that built in, it's a little bit sort of limited for my needs. Now, typically, I am driving through fairly dark areas. If it is going to pick up on somebody that might be in the roadway, that's certainly going to help. Times when it's foggy, I'd really be interested in seeing this in heavy rain, but also the snow. That would be a great test for this. Blizzard, whiteout conditions, the ability to really see when your visibility and the distance that you can see is extremely limited. So all in all, it's definitely a neat product. The installation was very simple. It went very well for me. I had no problems with the install. It was way easier than I thought. No drilling, no anything beyond simply just mounting it up. Very simple. It comes with all the tools. So that worked out extremely well. The ability to sit it on the dash, that was nice, no problem. But the other part of it is the fact that you can't dim it down. At nighttime, this thing is just so bright that it really does impede and inhibit my ability to actually see what I'm trying to see. Now, granted, it's kind of given me the information that I'm trying to see, but bottom line is I need to see out my windshield first. So having a real bright screen, mostly white, just blaring in my face is not the best. So I would love to see this in future iterations dim down, or have an auto dim feature, the ability to adjust the brightness. To me, that's absolutely critical. But again, just a really neat product. Thank you so much to the people at Robofinity who did provide this for review. And for the rest of you, if you like this content, do me a favor. Take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, that channel's growing quickly. I have a ton of videos up there. So if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.